And President Trump today addressing missing Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi, who vanished just a week ago at the Saudi consulate in Istanbul.
Well, we're looking at it very, very seriously. I don't like it at all. Now, you don't have American citizens, but that in this case doesn't matter. I don't like it. I don't like it with respect to reporters. It's a terrible, terrible precedent. We can't let it happen. And we're being very tough, and we have investigators over there, and we're working with Turkey, and frankly, we're working with Saudi Arabia. We want to find out what happened.
We want to find out what happened. And joining us now, retired four-star general, Fox Business Chief Strategic Analyst, General Jack Keane. General, good to have you with us. Let's start with Khashoggi. The president stepping into this now in a very forceful way. And now we're going to find out what the Saudi government does in response. What do you expect?
Well, first of all, an investigation, and hopefully a complete one. The Turks are involved in this, and Saudi Arabia, obviously, we have our own investigators there. I think we have to look at what we know already. One is news reports in the United States for the last 2 years. If we just react to news reports, we can come to some fairly premature misperceptions as to what the facts really are. So, number one, the fact is that seems indisputable is the journalist entered the consulate, and there's no evidence that he left it because they're saying if he left by the back door, is what the statement is, there certainly would be evidence of that. Clearly, they would have a surveillance camera on the back door.
Which could be turned over by the Saudi consulate at any time to Turkish authorities.
So there's no doubt that there's already some legitimate suspicions about this. An investigation has obviously got to get to the facts. The reality is here, the geopolitical implications of something like this would be really quite damaging to Mohammed bin Salman and the transformation strategy that he has. As ambitious as it is, he's touching every aspect of Saudi life, political, economic, social, religious, in terms of trying to transform it and bring it into a modern age in a way that none of his predecessors have ever entertained, not the least of which is getting these young people off the dole and getting them back and getting them employed inside of Saudi Arabia.
No question he has an immense challenge as he tries to transform Saudi society and institutions. At the same time, is Khashoggi's disappearance, and if it is ultimately demonstrated that the Crown Prince had anything to do with his disappearance or perhaps murder, what are the implications for U.S.-Saudi relations?
Yeah, they would be significantly damaged, and he would likely lose most of our congressional support for what he's doing. He needs, obviously, internal support, particularly among his young people as he's trying to change their way of life. But he clearly needs regional support from his fellow Sunni Arabs and also international support. And so far, he has had all of that, even though there's obviously been some criticism of something as ambitious as this is. It would clearly damage this relationship. And it couldn't come at a worse time, Lou. We're trying to negotiate a political and military alliance with the Sunni Arabs to stand up against the Iranian threat in the region, and to have them bear more of a burden and come together to share intelligence and military capability, and have the United States be less burdened by that experience.
And central to the disappearance of Khashoggi is obviously Saudi Arabia, and in Turkey at their consulate, and the Turks right now have apparently negotiated with the White House, and the president appears to have won, at least tentatively, a deal to free Pastor Brunson. That could be in jeopardy as we go forward into this, too. The complexities are mounting in the region, and as everyone knows, that is one thing that the region doesn't need.
Yeah, Erdogan clearly wants to get this millstone of Pastor Bronson being in his jailhouse. I mean, their economy is tanking, as you well know and our audience knows here. And certainly the sanctions that we impose are frustrating any kind of recovery that Erdogan wants to pursue. Also, by the way, we need to take with a grain of salt what the Turks are telling us about the Saudis. They have significant divisions, and the Turks have over 100+ journalists in their jailhouse as we speak, based on the authoritarian rule. And that is another ally that we have in the region, clearly, whose behavior is not in concert with the values of America.
Yeah, I'd like to hear what would be the result as we try to divine who is telling the truth and who is lying between the Saudis and the Turks. I'll leave that to next time. General, thanks so much. General Jack Keane.